The medical bay hummed with the sterile whisper of life support systems, each beep a countdown to something Dr. Liana Creer refused to accept. She stood over the incubation pod, her reflection ghosted in its transparent dome, hollow eyes, hair pulled back in a hasty knot, fingers trembling from 36 hours without sleep. Inside the pod, Rin barely moved. The cub was small, even by Valori standards. His fur, which should have been silver-white and lustrous, hung dull and patchy against his skeletal frame. His breathing came in shallow gasps, each one seeming more uncertain than the last. The biomonitors painted a grim picture: core temperature dropping, neural activity minimal, organ function at 43% and falling. Dr. Creer. The voice belonged to Commander Thexnor, the Valori military liaison. He stood in the doorway, his massive frame casting a shadow across the medical bay. His species were apex predators from a world where only the strong survived, a philosophy that extended even to their young. You should rest. The decision has been made. Liana didn't look up. No decision has been made. 5 cubs were rescued from the colony raid. 3 are thriving under standard care protocols. 1 died within the first hour. Thexnor's voice carried the weight of inevitability. Rin is the runt. His systems are failing. By our laws, by nature's laws, By your laws. Liana's hands moved across the control panel, adjusting nutrient flow, recalibrating the thermal regulation. Not by mine, Thexnor stepped closer. Despite his predatory nature, there was something almost gentle in his tone. Humans are remarkable creatures, Doctor. Your species' compassion is unusual, but compassion cannot rewrite biology. Rin's littermates were larger, stronger. They took more nourishment in the womb. He was always going to be the sacrifice, the one who gave his resources so the others could thrive. This is the way of the Valori. This is the way of survival. Survival, Liana repeated, finally meeting his eyes. You know what humans call ourselves in the old languages? The persistent ones. The walking dead. We're not the fastest, not the strongest, not the smartest. We survived because we were too stubborn to die. She turned back to Rin. And too stubborn to let others die if we could help it. Thexnor's tail twitched, a sign of agitation. The night cycle begins in 2 hours. By morning, his heart will stop. I have seen this before. It is not cruelty to accept reality. Then you haven't met enough humans. After he left, Liana pulled up her stool and began the long night's work. The problem was multi-layered. Rin's digestive system couldn't process standard Valori formula, too rich, too complex for his underdeveloped organs. His temperature regulation was shot, his immune system barely functional. On his homeworld, he would have died within hours of birth. Natural selection in its rawest form, but they weren't on his homeworld. They were on a human medical station. Liana started with the basics. She synthesized a modified formula, breaking down the protein chains into simpler structures, adding enzymes his body couldn't produce on its own. She calibrated the incubator to cycle temperatures, mimicking the way a Valori mother would shift her body heat, teaching a cub system to regulate itself. 2 hours in, Rin's temperature spiked. Fever. Liana's hands flew across the controls, administering microdoses of human-compatible antipyretics, adjusted for his alien metabolism. Too much would kill him. Too little would let the fever cook his brain. 4 hours in, his breathing stopped. Liana's heart hammered as she opened the pod, her hands, steady now, training overriding exhaustion, performing manual compressions on a chest the size of her palm. She counted, breathed for him through the tiny respirator, counted, compressed. The monitors screamed, then a gasp. A weak, rattling gasp, but a gasp nonetheless. That's it, she whispered. That's it, little warrior. Stay with me. 6 hours in, she noticed something. Rin's eyes, clouded since birth, flickered open. Just for a moment. Just long enough to meet hers. It was then that Liana understood what drove humanity's reputation across the stars. It wasn't technology or weapons or even their vaunted persistence. It was this: the ability to look at something the universe had already written off and say not yet. She worked through the night, making adjustments so small they seemed absurd. A half-degree temperature shift here, a fractional nutrient density change there. Human medicine was built on incremental victories. on the understanding that sometimes survival was just a series of refusing to die, minute by minute. Dawn cycle approached. The medical bay doors opened. Thexnor entered, prepared for the grim task of removing a body. Instead, he stopped short. Rin was awake. Not just alive, but awake. His eyes tracked movement. His breathing, while still weak, had found a rhythm. The monitors showed organ function at 67%, not good, but climbing. Liana sat beside the pod, head bowed, finally allowing herself to feel the exhaustion. How? Thexnor's voice was barely a whisper. Liana looked up, a tired smile crossing her face. I didn't let him quit. And I didn't quit on him. She stood, swaying slightly. He's not out of danger. It'll be weeks before we know if he'll fully recover, but he made it through the night. That's enough for now. Thexnor approached the pod, staring down at the cub who shouldn't exist. My people have a saying. Nature selects and the strong remain. Humans have one too, Liana replied, already pulling up the next hour's treatment protocol. Not on my watch. In the pod, Rin's small chest rose and fell, each breath an act of defiance against an indifferent universe, and a testament to a species that had made an art form of refusing to accept the inevitable. The cub wouldn't be the last life Liana saved that year, but he would be the one that reminded the galaxy why humans, against all odds, had earned their place among the stars.